one of our favorite recipes in our house is pesto because it's used for everything, you know, onto a piece of grilled chicken or tossed with pasta. It is super flexible. The one thing that I do that's a little different, and this is kind of born out of the restaurant business, is to keep the pesto green because it does oxidize really quickly if you've ever made fresh pesto before, is to blanch the basil leaves. And all that means is lots of boiling salted water, pick a bunch of basil, throw the leaves in, give them like 15 seconds, make sure they're submerged, and then drain it into a colander or a sieve, rinse it quickly with cold water and squeeze it out. There's some Italians out there, they're gonna go, Gaz, you can't do that, but trust me, it's so super green and you don't lose any flavor at all. So in with the basil, we've got a tiny little bit of garlic, I use about 1/4 of a clove, and then generous amount of toasted pine nuts, all right? Generous amount of Parmesan cheese, which I've pre-grated. If you've got one of those fancy blenders, you can just stick it all in together. But the key for me, as the pepper goes in, is not to blend it too long, because it heats up and that causes the pesto to go green too. So now in goes the olive oil, and we're using quite a bit, and you might need to use a little bit more as you blend it, and then you can either use a stick blender or another type of food processor to give it a whiz. So off we go. If you turn it on, turn it on. Turn the right one on. And you'll see very quickly goes beautiful and green, and I just kind of pulse it up and down, a little bit more oil if I think it needs it, and I'll taste it at the end and try to see if it needs more salt and pepper. And you can leave it chunky or make it really smooth up to taste test, as always. Delicious.